What's up, everybody? Welcome up to Huddle Up and WAIT. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Bret Legassi. With me, as always, Dave Stager. Dave, how are you, sir?
Doing good. Sorry, folks, I had to postpone the show last night. Dave's hip and back didn't want to work, so body of an old veteran. A little bit of coaxing with some needles in my hips and stuff. So, yeah, I finally got the old Tin Man body to work, but I'm feeling much better today.
So I always tell people all the time, like, you know what? Just add 6 years to my age. That's how long I served, and I'm 41.
Yeah, I'm 34. I'm about to be 35 here in December. So yeah, I feel like I'm gonna feel like I'm 40.
Yeah, that's basically what I feel right now. I get it. So, oh man, where's Evan? We're early.
Don't jinx it. We don't need to do that. No, we don't need to poke the bear. But no, I mean, I'm excited because trade deadline's looming on us.
Yeah, and we've had some movement.
Big. Whew.
Yeah. So, like, this episode is going to be a little different because usually we start out with Around the League. And the whole show is basically going to be based on that, talking about, like, trades and what happened and some of the trades we like to see. Well, I know. But, I mean, the whole show is going to be based on, like, news, upcoming news, possible news. So, it's going to be a little different today. So, it's basically going to be Dave's baby today. So, with that said, Dave, let's take us around the league.
Let's see. Magic Johnson, the former NBA superstar, is trying to buy a stake for the Las Vegas Raiders shares. And it's called Mark Davis saying, I ran out of money. Please help me.
Yeah.
So that's him basically what he's doing to other rich people.
Yeah.
Because he built the giant Roomba stadium. And now he's like, crap, I can't buy even condiments for my own suite.
Right. Yes, go Phillies. I don't know if they're winning. Last I looked, they were losing 4-3. So, real quick on that, like, I just remember a couple years ago, they damn, you talking about the WNBA team? So, like, a couple years ago, I remember, like, there was a cap space, and the Raiders had, like, some of the biggest cap space. Everybody was like, well, why aren't the Raiders signing anybody? They have so much cap space, more than everybody else. And I think it was Ian Rappaport was like, they have a cash flow problem. And what that means is they're allowed, because the cap is what you're allowed to spend. You know, so like
you actually need the money to spend,
right? Yeah, but you have to have the money to spend. So if my wife says, "Hey, you can go spend $1,000 on motorcycle parts," but I don't physically have $1,000, I mean, like, cool, that's my cap, but I don't have the money to spend. So
yeah,
so it doesn't even matter. So that's basically what the Raiders' problem is, and he's the poorest owner in the NFL. They have
weird because he was had so much money before they moved to Las Vegas.
Yeah. And he's like, I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean, he has money. Obviously, he pays his players. But I think this is actually kind of smart, too. Ross did this with some celebrities. And it kind of gave him a little cash flow, you know, like minor stakes to kind of give him some money to cash flow to kind of help with the remodeling the stadium. So it's actually smart, honestly, because it is very expensive to run a football team. So to have, instead of borrowing it from the people, like the taxpayers, which is the disgusting part that teams do, I think that's actually a good way to do it. So, all right, go ahead.
Detroit puts DJ Chark on IR, which could open a spot up for soon-to-be-forgotten rookie Jamison Williams, the speedster out of Bama. You might see him brought back because they said it's right around that time frame, October, November. You'll see him on the field for Detroit. So just keep your eyes peeled if you see that. Denver sits Russell Wilson due to injury. Bret Ripien, the nephew of Mark Ripien, will start. He's had previous starts before, but hey, I'm already talking about it. If he comes out and wins and beats the Jets, who are hot right now, and that Jets defense is tough, Bret Ripien, the second coming of Mark Ripien, sit Russell Wilson, Denver, eat some crow for making that trade.
I mean, he already has an elite name, so we already know he's already like top notch as a kid.
Ripien. I said rip it just because of energy.
I was talking about his first name, sir. Actually, Josh brought up a point. It said McAfee brought up the idea of Ravens and Lamar Jackson. So I work for a company that actually, when you move up to a certain level, they actually give you stocks in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And when the stocks split, they gave you like however many, the equal amount of shares. And
That's
then obviously,
does it when I work for them.
So
every fiscal year.
A lot of company, a lot of like Walmart does that, Amazon does that. A lot of these big companies do that, and it's not a bad idea.
Hey, Dolphins Thursday.
Add that into the contracts. Hey, what's up, Dolphins Thursday? So like, it's not a bad idea, in my opinion, to kind of put that in the contract where you're buying ownership into the team and getting money back out, but you have to prove to them that you're getting money back to them. But it's not a bad option, honestly, in my opinion, long term beyond your football contract.
Yeah, I agree there. No, I didn't mean to laugh at you. I was laughing at Evan. He said I'm going to bomb if the Jets go 5-2. All I can picture is John C. Reilly in Step Brothers. I'm going to throw up. That's all I picture Evan doing at his dinner table.
Look, man, I'm just going to open up Dolphins' eyes real quick on this, since the NFL show we're allowed to be unbiased here. The Jets are getting a stroke of luck, right? They're getting a stroke of luck because they keep playing backup quarterbacks. Well, guess what? The Dolphins played all their wins last year. That win streak they went on was a lot of backup quarterbacks and then rookie quarterbacks mixed in with that. So
the Jets just Aaron Rodgers.
So I'm just saying, like, and then everybody crowned to us and look how many wins he had. Well, you're going to have to use that same argument for Zach Wilson if they keep winning. So anyway,
they're winning, though. That's the only thing is they're winning.
Right. They're not winning because of him. He's just staying out of the way. So when it comes time to he has to step up to win the game, well, then it'll go from there. But
it doesn't need to fall on Wilson, though. That's how Shanahan operates. It's how it's supposed to operate.
Right.
Use the run game, then let the quarterback piggyback off that. Like you saw him use Corey Davis and other receivers and targets there in New York in that game. It's just that's how it's supposed to be. Defense, run the ball, play action off. It's a hybrid system with LaFleur and Rodgers because Rodgers wants to play McCarthy ball with LaFleur as head coach still. So that's why the Jets people slept on Robert Saleh, and I'm like, this dude is a player coach. He can get people fired up, and he will get every ounce of blood, sweat, and tears from you.
Yep. And let me tell you something about Saleh. When I was down at the Senior Bowl, don't tell him that was not a game, a legit game. It was just an all-star game because that staff. Now he wasn't running it. His understudy was, because they had the idea. They had the minority coaches run it to get a chance to head coach to get their experience, which is great. But everybody on that staff was intense. The practices were more intense. They were fun. The players were having fun, but it was still intense, and they were working hard. But you could tell us, hey, we're going to work hard to have fun. And I'm a big fan of Robert Saleh. It sucks he's in the division, but hey, he's a heck of a ball coach, man. Heck of a ball coach.
Nope, I definitely will give props to Robert Saleh. It's hard to go into Lambeau and win regardless, but do it while Packers are coming off one loss because they never have lost 2 games under LaFleur in a row. So the fact that Saleh did that to his current best friend still off the field, and his brother's coach in the OC position, it's just a fun little matchup. But Packers got the wrong end of it, so I'm just going to go ahead and cry later after that.
Right.
J.K. Dobbins, I don't know what the Ravens need to do to get a proper conditioning coach. J.K. Dobbins is out 4 to 6 weeks again. Like, this guy cannot stay healthy. In Ohio State, he was healthy. I don't get it.
So I don't. It's hard. I don't know if.
I don't know if it's on Dobbins not taking care of himself or the conditioning coach not realizing, hey, this guy just got off of IR. Maybe we should do limited practices with him instead of running him full ball.
Yeah, I think they kind of jumped him back in a little too quick. And the whole jump cut, everything he does, it's hard on that knee. But, man, I'm worried that, he's going to go the muscle hamster route. I'm really worried about the Cadillac Williams route. You know what I mean? Like, that just ends your career early, just multiple knee injuries, just – I hope not. I really do, because I like J.K. Dobbins. But, yeah, something's got to give there. Maybe their training staff.
I have some foreshadowing later for that.
Ooh. We'll get into that a little bit.
The obvious Michael Scott wink. Like to not make it so obvious.
So what else? What do we got next?
So Browns activated linebacker Deion Jones from IR. This could be a good change of scenery for a player because Atlanta, he had a good first 3 years. Balling out, has some Pro Bowls to his name's, made the Super Bowl, and then just hit rock bottom. Deion Jones got traded to the Browns from Atlanta, and he was on IR. So we'll see if he can make an impact to that Browns front seven, which it's got a little bit of stoutness to it, but it needs a little bit more impact players. And I feel like with the right change of scenery, it could benefit there. Dak Prescott has no injury designation for this week. He will start. He is back. So thank God for my fantasy team for a 2 QB Superflex because I was missing him.
Well, the whole running attack. I mean,
it's still
the running quarterbacks are so good in fantasy. They're just like they don't have to be beautiful passers. Their running ability gets you so many extra points. Those guys are awesome.
But Dak's efficient though. It's not like he's going to go out and throw 4 or 5 interceptions. He's going to even if he has a bad game, he still puts up 2 touchdowns and some rushing in there.
Right, exactly.
25 points.
And when they get rushing touchdowns, it's 6 rather than 4, which is nice.
True. Yeah, true.
That's why I like it.
Well, all right. Guess we're going to go straight into the new topic. Drum roll.
Topic. Ready? I'm waiting on you.
All right, folks. NFL trades. I was hoping this was going to be available to talk about as possible rumored, but it happened. Yeah. Christian McCaffrey's a 49er. It's still weird to say because even though he fits the system, Kyle Shanahan knows how to use running backs. We've all seen it. It's the fact that now they give him a quality stud running back plug in here because before he's had Raheem Mostert, Elijah Mitchell, these are all late round guys that don't he have the big garnering name like McCaffrey. Yes, he's injured. I get that, but McCaffrey is better than Jeff Wilson by a long shot, and he can catch out of the backfield. He can pass block. He can run block. He can do all of it. So I like it.
Here's the thing about this, and a lot of people get this wrong. A lot of people say, well, the Shanahan system makes every back good. That's actually incorrect. So usually that Shanahan system can help elevate backs that are average to decent or like to good or below average to average. The system is bigger than the back itself, but usually the blocking is what's important. And they usually have tight ends that can block, and they teach the importance of receivers to block on the edges. And the blocking is the emphasis. So usually their offensive line is usually stout in the run game, and that's usually what makes them better. However, as you can see, the notion that, they don't draft running backs high. No, they'll draft a running back high. They'll go after running backs. It's just they're not just going to go after just any back. They have to be the right back. And Christian McCaffrey, we know damn well fits that system. He can fit pretty much any system. And the best part about it is he doesn't have to come in and take the bulk load and be the guy. They can mix it up. They already have an effective run game that's been hit or miss, but they can run the ball really well there. And I think McCaffrey would be a good change of pace back and not have to be pounding tackles too. Right. And I really like what they have with that. And it's a perfect fit for him. Miami, I thought was another one. Thought the Jets would have been another fit. Like that system is where I was hoping he would go. Pick. So the Baltimore offense. Another one that was like a sleeper that I don't think they would have done was New England because McCaffrey's that kind of back that they like. And also Tampa Bay because Brady likes backs like him. Yeah, but they don't have that back like McCaffrey anymore because they've always had a back like McCaffrey, James White. I'm not saying the same level. Kevin Falk, the James Whites, guys that can catch the ball in the backfield and be a receiver / runner and kind of like be mix around. But I really like the fit for that, and I think he elevates. I think he makes the 49ers offense better with that awesome defense, the most underrated defense in the NFL. Even though they're banged up, they're still one of the top defenses in the NFL, championship caliber defense, and now they have a run game to go with it. And we know damn well you put the ball in Jimmy Garoppolo's hands, he's not winning you the games, but you're not losing because of him as long as that run game works. So it's just another person with Debo and Ayuk and the rest of these guys. I think it's going to be a good fit. And they're starting to get guys healthy too. So, but that was the first big trade, and I'm not surprised, and I don't think Carolina's done trading.
No, I think they're going to move a couple more players because November 1st is the deadline. This is an early big trade that usually isn't expected till a week out. This was almost 2 weeks out, and I'm like, holy crap, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch trying to get this thing ball rolling early.
Well, they got it before there was a bidding war for it.
Well,
And
there was. Rams tried to come in late, and they didn't have the horsepower in draft picks because they've always traded everything away.
Right. And so the 49ers have the draft picks. They have a lot of compensatory picks because of Mac McDaniel getting hired, Robert Saleh getting hired, and then a couple other picks. So they had picks, even though they made a trade with the Dolphins to move up for Trey Lance. So that's really good for them to stockpile picks, but that also shows they're looking to still win in this window that they're in right now.
That's 6 day 2 picks. They could package up to move back up in the first round or second round or early in day 2 and pick up those quality first rounders that fall out. But no, I like what they got back. Carolina, Scott Fitterer got back a second 2023, third 2023, and they're exchanging 4th and 5th rounders of a 4th round 2023 and a 5th round 2024. So you have 4 picks there you're getting, and you're exchanging them out. I mean, it's not a bad value, especially for a back who's been in your system. He's aged a lot more than people would have thought because of injuries. And he's finally hitting this, the thing. Carolina basically has their fingers crossed. Stay healthy. Don't end up on the injury report. CMC has stayed healthy this year. One close call, but he's still played through it. And I mean, I'm just glad to see McCaffrey going to a team to possibly get a chance at a ring, because I don't see it with Carolina, even during a rebuild. 2 or 3 years down the road, he's probably going to retire.
So Carolina is, and we'll get into the Carolina side of things, because Carolina is a team that, no, they're not going to win right now. They are a young team. They're kind of lost. They just fired their coach. So I like the fact that you trade him and move on. And then, they have Deonta Foreman, who did really well at the Titans last year. Chuba Hubbard, you haven't really seen much from him. But if you look at this roster has talent. The one thing that I think Matt Rule was really good at was identifying talent. And that's something that I think he did really good at Temple with. Everywhere he's been, he identified talent.
He might be a better GM than coach in the NFL.
I think you're 100% right. I think he's actually a better talent identifier. Someone on Twitter even said that he finds these athletes, these freak athletes, and he drafts them. And he did that in college, and he recruited them, and it works overall. And that works more as a coach in college, because you have things that you can rely on the athleticism a little bit more, but in the NFL you have to start relying on things a little different. Yeah, you need explosive players and athletes, but you also need to do things differently in the NFL, and you can't afford as many mistakes. But I want to go over the roster real quick. So, I think DJ Moore, they said he's a building block. Terrence Marshall out of LSU.
They said they would move Burns and Moore for the right price. If they came out with a first or and plus more on each person, they would do it.
So what I was getting ready to say, no, you're fine. So what I was going to say with that is Burns and Moore are guys that are building blocks, right? However, I think they're saying the right price, meaning you're going to have to offer us something that we're not going to want to refuse and to move on. Because if they move on from DJ Moore, who's a playmaker, and I love DJ Moore, they still have Shea Smith, Rashad Higgins, and Terrence Marshall. Okay. Higgins, other than that, I don't know. Higgins has potential to be like a decent backup, right? Decent role player. Terrence Marshall out of LSU, I thought he was going to be better than he has been. He's got a lot of talent.
Bad QB play.
Right. So, I think there's a lot of depth there. And Laviska Shenault's still there. And then you got Ian Thomas, who's been decent tight end. Tommy Tremble, who's a talented tight end.
I thought Tremble would have busted out by now, to be honest. I like it.
Yeah. So, again, quarterback play. Ikemi Kwanu, who they took this year, just a stud. Bradley Bozeman at center is good. Taylor Moton has been mentioned in trade 2017 draft pick in the second round from Western Michigan. People have mentioned him as a trade, but I'm not sure they're going to trade him. But 2017, 5 years in the league, good chance he gets traded. I mean, if I'm the Panthers, I do. Brian Burns, Derek Brown, Yatir Gross-Matos,
J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn. These guys, to me, if I'm the Panthers and I'm coming in as a coach, I don't want Brian Burns, Derek Brown, Gross-Matos, Taylor Mouton, Ikemu Ikwanu, DJ Moore. These are guys that I'm like, okay, I got some building pieces at every level. I have something I can deal with. I have something that I can like work with. I don't think the Panthers are as terrible as people think. However, I think that I think they definitely are in a rebuild, but I don't think they're going to just sell off everybody. However, if people come knocking with the Laramie Tunsil offer, like the Texans offered for Laramie Tunsil, you take the deal and you take it and don't even question it, because a guy like everybody on the roster is semi-replaceable in that sense. Like, you get 3 first-round picks, yeah, you take that in a heartbeat. But that's just me. But Ekwonu, I think, is a building block for sure, and I think they have some building blocks that I don't think they should move on from. And I don't think they should purge their roster, to be honest, because I don't think they're bad. And then it's going to depend on what do they think of Matt Corral. Do they really believe he's going to be a quarterback or not? I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, it's unfortunate. He came out, got injured, was out for the year early on in the preseason, stuff like that. Ended up getting hurt. It sucks, but I mean, he's young. He can at least go to the next season.
Part of the evaluation, though. He's been injured a lot, and however, just whatever. I mean, like, honestly, like, I still think there's a young nucleus on the Panthers that if I'm a Sean Payton that's out there, or a head coach is looking to get another chance, I don't know how the ownership in front office is, but there's some pieces in Carolina that I would work with that I think Matt Rule put in place. And, I can run with Baker Mayfield or PJ Walker as a veteran backup or veteran stopgaps. That's actually not bad. There's no difference in a Ryan Fitzpatrick, in my opinion. Like, yeah, I got me a stopgap that could work until, and I'd have PJ Walker and Baker Mayfield and Matt Corral battle it out, and I'd just keep drafting and building. But I think there's some talented players. It's just a matter of putting it together. Oh, thank you, Dolphin Thirsty. Appreciate that.
Yep. Brett and I always take pride to know the NFL, know the NFL draft, their players coming out of college. It's one all around big circle. And I mean, just a feel for it and knowledge of everything. It's weird. I can go and look at players who are coming up for the draft or know players this year on all the rosters. But you ask me where an apostrophe or comma goes, I'm telling you, go to hell.
Well, I'll tell you the one thing I liked when I was doing Diamond State scouting, right? Which, check it out. Hold on. Mirror's always backwards.
Still branding.
Oh, yeah. So we'll eventually bring that back onto this network. But one thing I like about that is that you see guys around the league and you see how they do. And then you can kind of see, like, hey, I love that guy. I don't know what happened to him. Or, hey, I wasn't a big fan of him. He blew it up. Or, hey, hey, I was a big fan of that guy. Really liked his tape. And then all of a sudden he's blowing it up. And then you see him across the league and you're like, man, this guy's good. And you kind of see it. Like, so you follow these guys around the league and how they're doing. And so it kind of keeps you in touch with the league. Excuse me. So,
hey, piggybacking off of Panthers fire sale, I did want to go ahead and add in Robbie Anderson just got moved because of that horrible fight with their coaches, Steve Wilkes. Everything on the sideline got sent. Folks, if there wasn't enough bad blood in that locker room, it took less than 24 hours. Usually players and stuff calm down and they try and work stuff out. No, less than 24 hours, Robbie was gone. Like, it was blink an eye, boom. They got hammered by the Rams. And gone. And he went to Arizona for, I think, a 5th and 6th round exchange of picks. They didn't even get sole picks back. They got exchanged of picks. So,
basically, that was just kind of take him off of here. And you know what? Steve Wilkes knows what's going on. He knows that he didn't get his chance in Arizona. Wouldn't be surprised if he called Keim and was like, hey, come get this guy. Hey, do me a favor, get him off my team. But Wilkes knows he knows that he might have a chance at this job, and he has a chance to be a head coach who I highly respect the guy. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. So I think that was a great job of leadership saying, you know what, go to the locker room. I don't want you on this team. If you're going to act like that, you're going to sit there and be selfish. This team's a mess right now. I'm trying to settle this down and you're not helping. Go on. That's leadership. It's stern leadership and it's tough. And some people cry about it, but I don't care. That's what you need. And Robbie Anderson has always kind of had that mentality in the league. So I like to see, if I'm a team looking for a coach next year, possibly interested in a coach next year, Wilkes jumps out at me right away with that.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree there. I just didn't mean to. I totally forgot about the Robbie Anderson trade.
No, that was
no more. That's 2 players they've already moved. So don't tell me they're not having a fire sale. We're going to see a 3rd and 4th, in my opinion, here in the next week and a half.
I'm just saying they're not just going to get everybody's going to be on the trade block. I'm just unless they get offered.
There's enough to consider.
They are. Yeah, there are going to be guys considered, and just because they're going to want picks to build this thing out right.
everyone keeps saying like the Packers need to go trade for DJ Moore. Listen, I love it, but you know what would cost less, and I would love it to death for their help to go replace Darnell Savage and swap him. I would want Jeremy Chin. I love Jeremy Chin.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
What he does, what he offers, I would gladly put him next to Adrian Amos, swap him out off like a third-round pick with a Savage, because Savage still has upside. It just needs to be untapped. I don't know if we're going to get it.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with that.
But moving on, now trades that we would like to see happen, that there's so many players out there on the trade. It feels like there's more players on the trade block this year, Brett, than most recent years. Like, there's a lot.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that has to do with just like contracts and, just the cap next year.
And every 4-year cycle, it's basically not a lot of teams haven't re-signed that 4th, 5th year player on the team that they want to, and they want to try and hold out, but a team may have an offer for them.
Right. And it's, your team's struggling or you're in a hole and, like the trade deadline is starting to see more and more happen in the NFL. It'll never be like wild like it is in other sports, but the trade deadline, I think, is starting to move. And I think it's because contracts are now movable by the way they have been signing them by the league.
IR too. That's a new one.
Right. And then also like the IR rules and the practice squad rules. And, a lot of it's like, when we sign contracts now, the league's kind of lightened up on some of those rules where it's like you can kind of trade away a contract, which we've seen the Dolphins and the Browns have done that to take with high cap space. They've taken on some contracts to take a guy so they can kind of eat that cap. Yeah. And teams give them a pick to eat that cap. So it's not about the player. They're getting a pick for it. So, it's kind of smart business, and it allows you to see moves and allows like the teams to be able to get out from underneath contracts and the players still get their money. So all around, it's a smart business and it's exciting for the fans.
Well, I couldn't agree more, and that's 100% right. I mean, I just feel that with the new rules in place, like what you said, it just allows teams to be way more flexible. And then if they want to, they can. There's a lot more rules now in restructuring and then pushing money into another year as soon as they get that player, rather than just having to eat that first year or even restructure their second year next year with being with the team.
And players are now granted permission a lot more to go seek a trade, and which is great. Hey, you're not happy here, go seek a trade. We've been seeing that more and more and more lately, and I like to see that instead of saying, "Fine, I'll trade you to wherever." No, we'll go seek a trade and we'll make it work.
Well, I'm going to start off with my first trade I want to see. I think Robert Quinn to the Chiefs could be a really big connection. Ooh. They need pass rush help. Chris Jones is doing work out there. I know Frank Clark's still out there, but I'm not a big fan of that rookie that they got this year. And he's had, I think, maybe 1 sack in 6 weeks. And he can apply pressure, but I need to see him hitting the quarterback. Robert Quinn, though, I feel like the Chiefs always make a splash before the trade deadline, and they grab a player that like we think is washed up or we think is just a B-grade player, and they come out being a superstar in Kansas City. And I feel like Robert Quinn could be that guy because he put up 18 sacks last year. We know he has it in him. Mm-hmm. Put that on the Chiefs, and you pair him up with Frank Clark and Chris Jones on that front.
That's really interesting because if you're looking at Robert Quinn, he's 31 now, something like that.
Chiefs have never shied away from bringing in players who were too old. Le'Veon Bell,
32.
Josh Gordon. It
no.
Shied away from it.
Sorry, the reason I say that is because the Chiefs are always in a competing. They're always in it, right? So, man, that'd be a good move. He fits the pass rush, fits that system, and I'd be happy as hell for Robert Quinn to be able to play on a team like that because I don't think he's played for much of a winner in his career, and he's been a heck of a good player. He was good in Miami, good with the Bears, good with the Rams.
I thought he would have stayed with the Cowboys. He had a really good spot with Dallas. And
he did.
There. I thought he would have stayed there.
Did Dallas not offer him enough?
I don't think he did. I don't think they did because they considered the guy they let go to Denver. I can't remember his name right now. The guy who smoked weed. They went ahead and I'm having the biggest brain fart ever.
Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory.
Yeah, Gregory. They basically put all their money in on Gregory staying there, possibly sign an extension. Your plan fell through not to keep Robert Quinn.
Yeah, and I liked Robert Quinn in Miami. I thought he did a good job. Then Miami traded him away. With the fire sale there. So he's always been a good player, and that would be a heck of a trade. Good call on that one. I like
Yeah,
that one. And then
the Chiefs are in a hunt right now for Brian Burns. They said they're one of the 3 teams for Brian Burns to come out and try and offer first and more. Why not go with an aging veteran who knows you can play rotational snaps instead of that George Karlaftis that I can't stand? It's one of the 2 players in the first 2 rounds I did not want Packers to get. And everyone's like, we could have had George Karlaftis. No, he hasn't done anything. But anyways,
that's a good one, because then the other thing is you got to look at the Bears. They have to get, they got to figure things out. Yeah, and they have a lot of questions on their roster, so that's fantastic call. I like that one.
So I think, and I'm not saying Robert Quinn. He's, like I say, he's aging. His numbers aren't where they are from last year, but also that could be because he might be expected to be traded. He's name is mentioned a lot. He hears it with the organization. So, I mean, I still think he could be moved for a solid 3rd-round pick. Go to the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't have to overpay for a guy like Brian Burns, even though he's younger.
Oh, no, I really like that one. So, one of the ones I had that I like, I want to see if you like this one, and not at the price that we saw. So don't go by that, because I don't think it'll cost that. Chase Claypool to the Packers.
God, no, I hope you don't pay McCaffrey's price to there for a second.
No, and that's why I said not the price, because I think it would only cost like a second or a third. I like the Steelers aren't that team. I don't think they give up a lot. They're smart traders. I don't think they're going to request a lot for a guy like Claypool. They know he's at the end of his contract. They know he's not getting playing time. So they would
wide receiver 3 right now in their offense. He's behind Pickens and Johnson.
Yeah,
but really showed with the targets.
Now, Claypool's not a guy that's like a dominant receiver, but he doesn't have to be in Green Bay. He could be like Alan. Maybe he's too much of an Alan Lazard type player, but I think he could be a guy with a big target
than Lazard. That's the thing. Lazard is a big box out slant type.
Yeah,
Claypool can go down and win the 50-50s.
But I feel like he can give you what Watson and Dobbs can't give you right now, and at least with some veteran experience. Plus, he's a hell of a blocker. Yeah. So, I mean, he's a hell of a blocker. So, I just thought it would be a good fit, and the Packers need receivers. And then one more that I'm going to throw out there is Cedric Wilson to the Packers. I think it'd be a really good fit, too. Obviously, familiar with the offense. He's not really getting any looks in Miami. I think because of Waddle and Hill. But I
chip off your people of Green Bay.
Well, no, I just think because Green Bay needs veteran receivers.
Like a prison. Go to the north. Go to the wall.
Well, you think about Green Bay needs receivers bad. Like they have 2 rookies that they're relying on that obviously have a lot to learn. And unfortunately for them, they're getting exposed and it's like making them look bad, but it's just rookie mistakes. And then you have Lazard, who's been a good receiver for him, but not like overly dependent. So I just think like a veteran presence at receiver.
Yeah.
And Cedric Wilson, to me, can fill in and get the bulk of the load and knows the offense as he plays the same one in Miami. So he has the idea of it. I think he would do just fine in Green Bay, and it would kind of help both teams out. And I don't think it would cost much because Miami had to eat a lot of this cap, but it was just a concept I came up with, but I thought it was an idea.
There was a guy that was in the preseason that was basically didn't get his extension yet, was being talked about being traded, and Green Bay was connected to him then. And I look back and we're already week 7. So we're a couple weeks away from half of the season, halfway point, which after a trade, Green Bay would probably pick up about 6.5, 5.7 million, somewhere in there of his cap if they traded for him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying it. And their record isn't astounding. And people kind of forgot about this name. Like the people keep saying, "Oh, go get Claypool, go get DJ Moore, or go get Terry McLaurin, or all these other guys they were connected to." Brandon Cooks is there, folks, and this year the cap is not that high, and his cap is not that high next year. You can restructure him, save 13, 14 million next year.
Oh my God, my fantasy team would thank you so much if that happens. My fantasy team would be so freaking stoked because I have him on my team. But he would so the one thing about Brandon Cooks, I've been talking about him for a long time. He's been in the league since 2014. Okay. He's had 2 years that he didn't break 1,000. 2. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
He's been on so many teams, you'd think he'd have less.
Played for New Orleans for 3 years. Played for New England for a year. The Rams for 2. Houston for 3. He has only had his rookie year. He had 550. In 2019, he had 583. He's never had less than 5 touchdowns except for 2 years, and that's again his rookie year in 2019. That's it. He's had a minimum of 5 touchdowns and 1,000 yards. Now I'm not counting this year because obviously this year hasn't come to the end yet. That's insane. The guy has 8,000 career passing yards or receiving yards, 47 touchdowns in his career, and 597 receptions. Like, he's had a quietly productive career, and him in Green Bay would be dangerous. I'd love to see it.
Because you'd pair it, because that would give you your true over-the-top threat. Watson's on IR, and his hamstring keeps getting re-aggravated. So I'd say let him sit as much as possible. Then you put in, if you trade for Cooks, you're sitting Dobbs, Cooks, Cobb when he gets back, and Lazard. That gives you plenty of weapons, and Cooks can run all the routes. He's not just a zero route guy. The guy can go out and run his curls, run his slants, run his ends. It's just not going to he's not this one-trick pony. Cooks can run the route tree.
He's kind of like the Santonio Holmes. Actually, you know who he reminds me of? Santana Moss. Think about it. Smaller guy, fast, but reliable. Always reliable. Like, always getting open, but always play for bad teams. I love that
location I've seen deep in a while. Like, Cooks is being as small as he is, he will go up and he will adjust his body to where it just fits perfectly for that ball to come into. Like, he does it so well.
His best year, and he knows the offense because he was with McVay in L.A. Right in 2018.
You're already on what I'm cracking.
Yep. So he knows the offense. He played in that offense for 2 years, and he played in the West Coast with the Saints. So man, that would be perfect. Yeah, that's a good
update. Didn't mean to interrupt. J.K. Dobbins has been placed on IR now, so Ravens have an open spot. Segue. Don't mean to jump into another one, but Cam Akers to Baltimore. Calling it now.
J.K. I definitely can see. Cam Akers to Baltimore makes a ton of sense.
They've had a connection there too in the past. Marcus Peters gets traded to Baltimore.
Yep, I could see that for sure.
Didn't mean to jump ahead of your choice for a trade option. I just wanted to segue into that because I saw it and I'm like, hey, what do you know? J.K. Dobbins is on IR. Cam Akers is available.
So another running back I'm going to tell you to keep an eye on. I think Melvin Gordon. I feel like he's
the lead back in Denver.
Yeah, huh?
Denver, Hackett came out the next day and said, no, he's my guy. He's my running back one.
Every time a coach does that, I feel like I don't know. I feel like every time a coach does that, a player gets traded. Every time. Or it gets cut or something. Josh Rosen's my quarterback. Trade it. And then they draft Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I just feel like every time a coach does that, it's like the kiss of death. Or it's a coach saying he's my guy, and the GM's like, no, I'm trading him. The coach's like, it wasn't me. I swear it wasn't me. It was the GM. It was the owner. It wasn't me.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I do want to keep an eye on Melvin Gordon there. I know they can't afford to trade him with Javonte Williams out, but I wouldn't be surprised either because that team is like headed out of control fast.
Latavius Murray did look good, though, with the touches he had.
That's true. So,
and he knows the offense. He knows George Patton, who used to be in Minnesota there as a assistant GM. So, I mean, it's not like he doesn't know the system there, stuff like that. What's Patton want, stuff like that as a player. Mm-hmm. So, I think he'd be a decent fill-in. But like you said, I mean, Melvin Gordon, it's just the whole fact of like the talent-wise of staying healthy. The guy has never had a full season.
Yeah. And that's been a big problem for him in his entire career. And he was really
you go to where you're saying in Miami, I don't know.
That was where I'd like to see him, obviously, for personal reasons. I like to see him in Miami. I actually was a fan of him and Melvin Gordon and Jay Ajayi during that draft. But big fan of Melvin Gordon in general, and I'd love to have him paired in that backfield. But he doesn't stay healthy, and his fumbling has been a problem this year. So, but
Alex, yes, it is, sir.
Yes, I love trade talks because it's almost like a what if scenario.
What's your next one, buddy? You got another one? I got a couple more I can dive right into.
Go ahead.
So we just talked about Cam Akers leaving to Baltimore, right?
Hmm?
Yeah, Darrell Henderson's he's serviceable. He can get the job done, but he looks a lot better when he has a split backfield. They have a guy in Sony Michel last year. They didn't keep and re-sign. I was kind of shocked by that. You know what else is available to go to the Rams? And I think Rams have never been shy to pay away draft picks, players to try and swing trades their way. We've seen it with Stafford and Goff and stuff like that in the past. Marcus Peters, all these trades you've seen. I feel like Kareem Hunt could go to the Rams.
Yeah. No, I feel like so.
Yeah, good 1-2 punch with Henderson.
Been saying it for a while about Kareem Hunt that I think he is going to get traded. They like the guys they have behind him. So I think that Dearness Johnson, I think he did a really good job last year and placed a
showed out in a couple games. Yeah.
So and we see that system is very running back friendly. So we know like Chubb is just a beast. It makes that system look even better.
Yeah.
But Dearness Johnson's very capable as a backup. And I think the Browns would be wise to trade Kareem Hunt, get some of that draft capital back for the Watson trade. And you could probably get maybe a 3rd round pick for Hunt, maybe a 4th. But either way, it's something of value. And I think a team like the not Baltimore, because they're in division, I doubt we would see that.
No, that won't happen.
No, but the Rams make a ton of sense. You know,
so don't sleep on it. There's another team, the Bills, could make a move.
Yeah. So I was getting ready to mention the Bills because the Bills have needed running back help.
Same wavelength.
But I also think that the Bills could be trading away Zach Moss to make room for that too. But the Bills, like Singletary is a decent back. He's not bad, but he's not your bell cow back either. So
and playing the cold weather, we've seen it.
Right. And I think the biggest thing for them is waiting on Cook to come up and play well. James Cook, we'll see what happens with that. I obviously not giving up on him, but he's a rookie. He's young. I don't know if they're ready, if he's ready yet, or what
you need
deal
experience
is there.
For a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, so I think, but Zach Moss has been inconsistent for them, and I could see them trading Zach Moss to make room for him, or swapping backs, maybe something like that. But no, I definitely could see the Bills because the Bills' run game has been the biggest hang-up for them for a while, and the Bills have depth that they could afford to trade away something to make room for it.
Well, my last one that I had, the biggie, the whammo, since we're on Fins Talk Sports Network, showing our show, and a lot of Fins fans are in our mentions, I want to go ahead and shout out my last trade, Roquan Smith to Miami. This is a fireworks trade because I know there's linebackers that are serviceable in Miami, but we seen a tendency to see that ball get ran later in games down the middle and not having that smash mouth ability to be able to close that out. I like Jerome Baker. Nice. But Roquan, he's that guy that can keep the tempo up on that defense, that leader. And if you put him in a locker room with Mike McDaniel as head coach, he feeds off coaches' stuff. And that's why I don't think Eberflus and him are meshing well, because he doesn't like the theories he has. He doesn't like this whole hits thing that he wants to I know he's his own agent too, which hurts him, but I feel like what Roquan wants, McDaniel has. He just needs to get there.
Yeah. So Roquan is better than every linebacker we have on our roster, period. Hands down. It's not even a question. Roberts, I like. He's a stud tackler. He's a hitter, but he's not great in coverage, not always in the right spots. Baker's best when he's blitzing. He's I don't know. He just doesn't do everything great. Like none of the linebackers in Miami are that great. But Roquan Smith is a stud. Tyndall, I think, could be very good. He's probably our best tackling linebacker as a freaking rookie that was taken in the 3rd round.
And so, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, again, 2 Georgia linebackers, but Roquan Smith is a stud. He'd be the best linebacker we've had in our defense since probably Carlos. Well, yeah, I was going to say Carlos Dansby because he was a freaking stud. But I mean, some of the best.
Great name is Zachary. How dare you?
Some of the best linebackers we've had in a long time. So I think he would be that kind of guy that he would improve the defense a lot. But
what would you give up? Second and a 4th for him, trying to equal like a late 1st?
Yeah, I mean, some along those lines, or see what their interest is in some of the players on our roster is where they might need. Dolphinier here say give up Gesicki, Baker in a 3rd. I mean, yeah, see, like Cedric Wilson could be
a wide receivers in Chicago.
Gesicki, maybe something like that. I'd even look at the package to see if they'll be willing to trade Kmet and Roquan for a package of like Gesicki and
Dolphiniers on it. Gesicki, Baker, and the 3rd.
That would get it done. Give you a linebacker, that I don't know if he fits what they do, but it give you a veteran linebacker, and then that's signed into 2024. So that might work. But yeah, I would take Roquan Smith in a freaking heartbeat in Miami. In a heartbeat, I would love it.
Yeah, I just think
or Shaq Thompson.
Like
I'd take Shaq Thompson too, who's not
another
as good.
guy at that fire sale that could they did not mention Shaq Thompson in their core group of players of not being traded. It was Horn, Brown, Brian Burns at first, DJ Moore first, but now teams are starting to reach out more and saying, "Oh, well, guess what? Maybe we'll offer a little more and see if we can get those players." So every player is attainable. We've seen that. I mean, people say, you said, GM said, "Oh yeah, you can't touch this guy. You're not gonna be able to trade for him." And then some team offers up 2 firsts for Laremy Tunsil. Gone. See it. It's no question.
I'd like to see a guy like Shaq Thompson go to the Chargers or to a competitor.
Everybody and anybody on run defense this year.
Right. Then that's why I said Shaq Thompson would be great there. Even Roquan Smith. Terrell Basham from Dallas has been kind of brought up in some trade talks as far as like possibility because his last year of his contract, all that stuff, and they're deep in that position. So there's a lot of like different players that could be traded and moved. The Jets have a couple of receivers in Mims and the kid from Florida. Sorry, drawing a blank there. So they have some guys they're looking to possibly move. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
See, Josh has brought up Tyron Smith in the offseason. That's a possibility. I told Eric, who's a friend of the show, if I'm Dallas, this and Tyler keeps playing the way he's playing, I might get rid of Tyron Smith and trade him while the market, like for a team who needs a left tackle, a veteran left tackle, and try to get a pick to kind of help me out elsewhere in the offensive line. So unfortunately for Dallas, I think their offensive lines kind of fell apart. So that Tyler Smith that got out of Tulsa and then Zach Martin are like their key pieces. And then they kind of got to keep revamping it at this point.
Tyrone Smith is due $17.6 million next year, and it's a hefty bill you got to have on tab when you only have $14 million in cap space. So if you can move on from him, they would save extensive money in the cap room to be able to possibly bring that free agent that they're coveting on offense to add in with Gallup and Lamb to add in. I mean,
and a team looking to make a run, Tyron Smith would be perfect for. Because can you rely on him? I don't know, but he could be that guy that can give you that left tackle. Hey, we can go make a run with this. A team like the Chiefs or something could work.
No, we'll see about that. I still think that he could be attained next year, but it's just that's next season's off season, man. Like this is only week 7 right now. Stop it, Josh. You're getting us to jump ahead.
But it could be brought up in conversation now where the teams are looking. Hey, what's your feeling of trading him, coming soon. So
just kicking the tires type stuff. So
that sometimes those offseason trades start at the trade deadline now, just kind of testing the water. So
John Santos.
I've been riding the Josh Jacobs
They still
trade.
think they can turn it around. I don't think McDaniels is going to trade a bunch of players right now. I can see 1 or 2, kind of like the safety Jonathan Abrams or Josh Jacobs. Well, no, he said Josh Jacobs is staying. He said that was at the preseason. He said he ain't going nowhere. And
that's
now
what he
look
said.
Josh Jacobs is doing this offense.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Cleveland Farrell's another one. Could be
that was a miss.
Casualty.
And I think that could be one of the ones that someone liked him in the draft. They might trade for him. I don't know how well he'll do, or maybe somebody. So Cleveland Farrell, one team I can see looking at him is New England, because I feel like he's that guy that's a tweener, that he's not a hand in the dirt kind of guy, maybe like a Kyle Van Noy style guy, and I feel like he's the kind of guy that Bill Belichick usually gets and finds a home for. Also, I look Kayvon Chason from the Jaguars. They've kind of been disappointed with him, haven't got much out of him. I think another one that Belichick would like, or somebody who likes a creative defense, would like to see him go to a team like the Giants, who are a young up-and-coming team that can use a guy like him. I think he could be like a good pass rusher with Wake Martindale. Also, I think he could be good with the Ravens. And I'm going to throw one more out there that I actually could see happening, and the kid won't have to move far, is Ravens trade for Will Jackson out of Washington.
Yeah, because they need every help they can get right now. They're near the bottom in the secondary on the passing defense, and they need
their safeties are good. It's not their safeties, it's their corners. And I think Peters is struggling coming back. It's had so much time off of football. That's not easy to come back from. That takes time. And it's going to take him by the end of the season. I think Peters will be playing more like himself. But I think you get a guy like Will Jackson who's solid, who fits that system. I think all of a sudden now the Ravens secondary got better. And I think it's a move that won't cost them much and it fits right in their wheelhouse. I also look for them to see the receiver market, maybe one of the receivers the Jets or Giants have available as an option.
Darius Slayton has been a hot spot receiver for trade talk this week. I've seen him connect to the Ravens, the Packers, Cowboys is another one. Even though it's a rival, we've seen it done with Belichick and other teams. And if Gary wants to come out and pay another receiver to come on and be that guy, because they're missing that Amari Cooper type third receiver. And I'm not saying he's a wide receiver 3, but I'm saying that third receiver in that set for Dallas. Cooper, Lamb, and Gallup were undefendable when they were on the field last year together.
Right.
Like you at least have one of those guys a man on man.
Well, I've seen Kadarius Toney brought up. I've seen Darius Slayton for the Giants.
Elijah Moore now is requested to trade.
Yeah, Elijah Moore, Kenny Galladay. I think the Packers and Ravens would be very wise to kick the tires in all of these.
I would send a third rounder for Kenny Galladay right now, but Giants have to eat 3/4 of the cap. I don't want to pay that salary for a receiver who hasn't done anything this year or last year just because he doesn't like the coaches or the management. Whatever it is, I
100% agree.
I personally wouldn't want to see it. I don't. Right. That's the one thing I know Gutekunst won't do. He won't overpay for something to send a third and pay for the. If he sends a sixth and needs the cap and restructures it, sure, I can see that.
Right.
But Giants don't want to do that. They want back the compensation they signed for the guy.
But I'll tell you, I think he might be a good fit with the Ravens. Because the Ravens have a lot of speed guys. They have a lot. And Lamar Jackson, honestly, I hate making this excuse, but he could use some more consistent weapons because Bateman has had a good year so far, but he's not a reliable receiver. Yeah. They got rid of Hollywood Brown, who also was not a reliable receiver. Now the best they could do is Deshaun Jackson. I mean, like Odell Beckham Jr. is out there, sure. But like if on the Ravens, I'm looking at Will Jackson as a possible corner to come in and fill in to help me out. Maybe even Kyle Fuller if he's still available. And then like I'm looking at the receiver market. I'm looking at Kadarius Toney. I'm looking at Elijah Moore and what it could cost to get somebody like that. And I'm also looking at anybody else that's available. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But if I'm yes, Lamar could be fun.
Don't start playing.
Or even honestly, it's crazy as it sounds. Trade Miami for Gesicki. That could be a good weapon too. Whereas they would use him more like Gesicki was used in the past as a slot receiver / big receiver. That could help them out too with Lamar. So
they're starting to do that with Likely though. That's the only thing.
That's very true. That's very true.
Likely's starting to do that, and I don't know if they're going to go get like a third tight end, old school John Harbaugh type move, but I just don't see Greg Roman doing that with 3 tight ends.
No, that's a good point. That's a good point. So, all right. That's just my ideas I had. But that's like Ravens. If I'm the Ravens, I'm going to be active at trade deadline. I might make a couple trades. I might trade for Will Jackson and then go look at the market like Kadarius Toney or somebody like that I can, hey, come over here. I'll go ahead and make a couple plays.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. I just don't. I just got to. I don't know. I got to see them start to get a little more active and kind of punch that line. I know we've seen them in talks, but Ravens need to go grab that guy if they really want him, and we know. I think
Galladay could be cheap too, and Will Jackson be cheap, and the perfect fit. That's just me.
It's the cap for Galladay. That's the
right. I totally get that too. So
with now Giants seeing Carolina have to eat McCaffrey's heavy dead cap next year, maybe that's an indicator saying, "Hey, you still get quality draft picks back at." Like if Giants come out and say, "Hey, we'll eat 99% of his cap," teams are going to call up and offer maybe I'm not saying it's happened, possible second, but it's probably a really good solid third for guys.
Giants have $63.6 million in cap space next year, estimated.
What's going to hurt? Bears have almost $200 million next year. They're going to buy everything.
Right, get rid of them. Get rid of. If someone's willing to trade you a pick, I don't care if it's day 3, a 5th round pick, doesn't matter. If someone's willing to trade him a pick, that I take it. Eat some of the cap, fine. Take it. Take him off because he's just eating up space on my roster. Give me a pick. Give me a 4th round pick for him. You take him. That's fine. I'll eat some of the cap space. Like, make it worth me keep eating the cap space. I'll use that pick to go find somebody else.
You know, another team that could come out and make some noise that we're not expecting, that they kind of need those other playmakers? The Colts. They could come out, trade for offensive lineman, trade for another receiver, round out that wide receiver room, because Paris Campbell's clearly showed he's not it out in Indy. Like, he's having hit and misses. He's been injured the first 2 years. And then you got Pearson.
Oh, yeah, that's another player that could be on the trade block, Tevin Jenkins. I've actually completely forgot about him.
I don't know if Chicago's going to give him up now, because he's actually been a really damn good guard.
Yeah. I think I was like an early talk in the preseason, but you just never know with the team.
He wasn't meshing well with the GM and the coach, and now they're on the same page. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get moved.
We'll see what happens, though, because you never know what's going to happen when you get the new blood in there that wants to just revamp. And because I didn't think Darrell Williams would get traded out of Buffalo when those guys took over, when Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott took over, but they did. And I'm like, why would you get rid of a good right tackle? And it worked out for them. They had a plan in place, so you just never know what's going to happen.
Any games you want to go ahead and pick this week? I had a couple in mind we can discuss that are.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk about some games.
First one I want to jump out the bat with: Colts Titans. Colts are now 3-2-1. Mm-hmm. Titans are 3-2. They're quietly sitting there, jogging back and forth for that AFC South title. I mean, we thought the Jags maybe making a run. They had a couple wins, but it looks like it's starting to kind of even itself back out. What do you like in this one? Colts or Titans? And it's at Tennessee, so it's a little nipply up in the mountains.
Taking the Colts.
I am too, because of Jonathan Taylor.
The Jonathan Taylor's back. They rested him last week. You know damn well he would have played, but they rested him last week. And the Colts are starting to get a rhythm, and the Colts took a little bit to get going last year.
Brian has a pulse. That's all we've seen.
And they were struggling last year. They beat Miami, and all of a sudden they hit the ground running. And they lost, I think, a game or two, but they kept they figured it out. And I think they're figuring it out, and I think they're going to beat the Titans, because the Titans have been bad this year.
Go ahead, Jelani Woods on your waiver wire fantasy teams, folks. He's starting to get a lot of attention from Matt Ryan. A lot.
Yep, I like Jelani Woods.
He was a freak out of the draft, and I remember watching the tape alone, and that just got me excited. His combine was like, holy crap.
Yeah, dude's a freaking agent. Like, he is. Guys like him are hard to find. He's a big guy too. He's not small, and he could be like every bit as good as Gronk if it comes together. Maybe even better. Yeah, like he's that kind of freak athlete, like Gronk. Crazy size, crazy athleticism. Like, he's who a lot of people wanted Noah Fant to be. So he's going to be a freaking stud if he puts it all together.
Another fun one, because of the recent trade: Kansas City Chiefs versus the Christian McCaffrey 49ers.
Right, and that's going to be a blast. Two teams that are now have an explosive offense. The 49ers didn't quite have an explosive offense, but they have a really good defense against that
Super Bowl.
Yep, against that tough, like, Andy Reid coached offense. So that's going to be a fun game. That was going to be exciting. I don't know who I'm taking there. I really don't.
It just came out as we were talking, literally 1 minute ago. 49ers running back McCaffrey is expected to play and get a ton of touches versus the Chiefs per Ian Rappaport against the Chiefs. Wow, he came in on Thursday night.
Give me the 49ers. Huh? Give me the 49ers in that one.
My only problem is Jimmy G. He's had games where he's looked like his old self, where he's coming out, we're leading the offense down the field, getting 30 points on the board. And then there's other games like last week where the Atlanta Falcons just came out and beat Jimmy G. So I don't know what to expect here. The Chiefs are a really damn good team, and I don't think San Francisco has the horses to keep. I think they had, now with McCaffrey, they have a better chance to put up points. Let the running game do the work. Jimmy G does the play action. I just don't trust him versus Mahomes. Mahomes, we've seen the Chiefs offense. Can go up and down the field at will anytime they want.
Right. I'm
taking the Chiefs.
Okay. So here's where it's going to come down. And I've said this before and said it over and over again. If the game ever comes down to Jimmy G having the shootout with Patrick Mahomes, it's not likely to happen. However, the 49ers defense has been phenomenal. It's been good all year. They have the best linebacker core in the NFL, hands down. And they play good defense. And they're going to play good defense. They're going to give them fits. And the Chiefs receivers are not as good as they have been. And Mahomes is making them better. And basically, if you can take, easier said and done, take Kelsey out of the equation, everybody else has an easier job. So basically, it's going to come down to the 49ers defense and that run game. And as long as they keep Mahomes under control and keep them they've been really scoring like 24 points a game, whatever. So
but now MVS is starting to get in rhythm. Now Juju's starting to get
right.
Rhythm.
So like
that's what's scary.
Yeah. So like basically, I think, and I could be wrong, I think the 49ers will win this game because I think their defense is going to come out big. I think they're going to keep Mahomes on the sideline as long as possible with their run game.
That's like it, but I can't think against
but I think this is going to be a 20-17 kind of game or 24-21 kind of game. I almost guarantee it. I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't think it's going to be high scoring because I think the 49ers defense is going to slow down that offense, and I think the 49ers are going to run the ball to keep them on the sideline.
Jimmy's got to prove it to me. It's going to have to come on him when it's 3rd and long. Right, you're not going to run the ball on 3rd and long. That you have to
100% agree. And as long as Kittle plays, he's a big part of their offense.
Kittle did play last week. He didn't do diddly. He played the week before. He didn't do diddly.
Wow, you're talking as a receiver. I'm talking as a blocker. That's a big part of their run game and protection. So that's a big part of it. And I think they've had to use. Plus, they get Trent Williams back this week, don't they?
It was questionable, I believe. They don't know it's a full yet.
They're getting healthy. Yeah, I just saw the home run, Josh. In the RBI.
It's football season, Joshua.
So yeah, no, I'm going 49ers there. That's just me.
All right. Hey, you know what? Sometimes we got to split. It's okay.
Yeah,
my heart just broke a little bit, but no, moving on.
Not a lot of other sexy games going on.
Actually, there's one, but people don't want to give it the hype. First of all, how the hell are Chargers 4-2? I feel like they're 2-4, but they've won a lot of close games. Like Staley has a very ugly wins. Like the Denver game and stuff like that. It's just, they played Denver, but at the same time, they're still winning. They're 4-2. They're right on the heels of the Chiefs, man. Like
their defense is bad again, like it was last year. The run game is good.
Joey Bosa hurt. Not JC Jackson. Who was it? Harris hurt.
They benched JC Jackson. I mean, like we never mentioned him in the trade. I wonder if he could be traded. So
that price tag is a little steep for
You'd have to be a competitor. I think you'd have to be a team ready to win for that, or have huge cap space. But yeah, like what's going on? They hire a defensive guy, and their defense is bad. Like it was one of the worst defenses in the league last year. Like what's going on here? So
who do you take? Do you take Seattle at LA, or do you take LA over Seattle?
Oh, it's easily believable.
Scrappy ball.
It's believable that Seattle could upset the Chargers. However, as Herbert gets healthier, their offense should get better and better.
And Eckler's been on a tear this last couple.
Yeah, and the Seahawks defense is so terrible. Like it's one of the worst in the league. So
hey, shout out at least to the one rookie, Tariq Woolen. Looks amazing.
I'm going to go with the Chargers on this one.
Me too. Even though I like that because it's 3-3 versus 4-2. Seattle surprised a lot of people. Geno showed he has plenty left in the tank, and hey, all of us should eat crow because. I know we did. I know a lot of people. I know people have crapped on Geno, but that man has a team at 500 that they never thought it would reach 2 wins, and would have the number 1 draft pick in the draft. Shout out to Geno for saying, you know what, guys, have this fresh cooked crow. It's medium rare. Call it a day. But I do like the Chargers there. There's a couple more games 2 more games I do want to mention. Both 3-3. Falcons versus Bengals.
I was going to mention that game.
Atlanta, to me, should have had a fair chance to beat Tampa Bay. Grady Jarrett should have never had a roughing the passer call. They would have got the ball back.
Dude.
And they were down by 6. Who knows what could have happened? I mean,
and they were a Marcus Mariota fumble away from beating the Rams.
No, not a fumble. Interception.
Interception away from beating the Rams.
5 yards ahead. And if it was in London's chest, it would have been a touchdown.
God, like they're playing well. You are what your record says you are. Don't get me wrong. But like if you break down the games, you see they're not like getting blown out. They're not like they're in the games,
holding strong in some games, man.
They're scrappy. They're playing better than people realize, and I think this is a good test for them. And hey, this could be the Bengals coming off a loss, so this could be a game for them. This could definitely be a game that the Chargers win, or that the Falcons win and get the upset. I don't know that I'm going with. I'm going the Bengals to win this game, but I think this could be a fun like scrap right here. I'm going Bengals. Tough, but I don't see. Although they'll get after Burrow, I don't see
the Falcons had Patterson. I lead more their way, but they don't have that true back. And like Algier, he's shown flashes. Huntley, he's shown flashes, but there's been none of this guy to sit there and go, "Hey, we need you to be the workhorse. Let's go." Right. And that's another team that might be able to sweep a running back in the trade deadline that not expected. Atlanta, if Patterson's not ready or healthy enough, they could go out and get a guy like Akers.
But what would be the point? Well, that division's wide open. Division's wide open. Saints are struggling. The Buccaneers are beatable. You know what? They could. I don't know.
Atlanta has the same record as Tampa Bay right now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and the NFC South never has a back-to-back winner. So
Saints look like complete doo-doo, even with famous Jameis and
no matter who
QB. I don't know which one.
You know, the Falcons should be a shopper at the trade.
If they want to sneak in as division winner, go and say, "Hey, we got enough talent to sit there and make the playoffs." You can go grab a guy like a Kareem Hunt. Go grab a guy like Cam Akers. They've got draft capital to do it. They've got people they can move off of their team.
Ooh, Cam Akers over there? Ooh, that'd be
Cam Akers, Kareem Hunt in Atlanta.
Hey, what about Dearness Johnson from the Browns? You know, like what if they keep
any of them?
Yeah, so that's a good option too. Well, yeah, that's a good idea. It could happen. Hey, and Deonta Foreman. I know the Panthers just traded McCaffrey, but Deonta Foreman played for him.
I don't think Carolina would sell another running back out of the room.
Probably not. It's just an option. I
don't see it. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I know I want to discuss another game, but it's already been played. I just want to review the Thursday night game a little bit.
Probably the best Thursday night game we've had in a while, and I missed most of it.
DeAndre Hopkins' effect on this Cardinals team. Wow. Brett, this team looked flatline dead going into this game before DeAndre was activated off IR. There was no heartbeat. It was just they were arguing with each other. It just seemed like there wasn't unity. There wasn't communication. They didn't. And all of a sudden, Nook comes back. And
they were all arguing anyway. I mean, there's definitely some issues going on there in Arizona.
I believe it's going on in Arizona, but look at the type of effect one player has coming back. That defense is way more aggressive with DeAndre, even on the field for their offense. The defense was showing out. The special teams was showing out. Like, I mean, I know Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton, but he still threw 2 pick sixes in a row, back to back. It reminds me of Matt Schaub days. Bless Matt Schaub. There you go.
Yeah. Matt Schaub, poor Matt Schaub. But no, if you look at it, like when they were arguing, who was there to step it up and calm it down? It was DeAndre Hopkins. So like you're looking at this.
He's usually the one who's causing arguments. It's funny how he's calming everyone down.
And you know what's funny is he goes over there, he comes back, and all of a sudden, like their offense and their team has energy because they know, hey, we know we can score now. We know we can throw the ball.
In that offense with Hopkins in there.
But because Hopkins, 10 receptions, 103 yards. Holy shit. And they were shutting down in the first half. Don't get me wrong. They were slowing them down in the first half, and then it clicked, and all of a sudden it was over. But like Randall Moore, he had a couple good plays. He's been coming along a little bit since the injury. But
he's been banged up, and he needed to get healthy, man.
Yeah, and it's opening him up more. So it's opening up Ertz more. It's going to open up, throwing into Benjamin more.
Man-to-man and a safety over top on Hopkins. That's how demanding this dude is in the secondary. So you have to allocate 2 out of 11 guys and leave the other 9 to try to handle other guys in man-to-man. It's just you're not going to let Hopkins go man-to-man all game.
Right, yeah. And I think Hopkins, like Murray's better with Hopkins on the field, which that concerns me because I want my franchise quarterback to be capable without my best receiver to make everybody better and elevate everybody around me.
Adams this year.
Right. I mean, so but at the same time, like you lose someone at the level of Hopkins, that hurts your offense anyway. So Hopkins like pulls this all together, and now like with him back, can they go on a run? We'll see what happens. But if anybody was questioning Hopkins as a leader, which I kind of was, I mean, you kind of seen some leadership from him Thursday, putting his arm around Murray kind of like, all right, settle down, like let's relax.
That's the older guy in him coming out and saying, "Hey, young buck, let's go. Come on, let's do it on the field. Save it for that."
Right, you're fired up. It's cool. You both want the same thing. Relax.
Yes.
We're gonna get this. I'm back.
Now, Cliff play calling. I'm glad he came out and said if it needs to come to that. Cliff said, "I'll let somebody else play the calls. I'll let Kyler call the plays. If it's my stuff's not working," he at least came out and admitted, "I'm man enough and humble enough to put that aside."
You know, the one thing I've always said, and not always said, but I've been taught lately, is sometimes your offensive coordinator has to have your quarterback call the play. Your offensive coordinator had to say, look, here's what I think will work. You're out there. You see the defense. You tell me what's going to work and what's not. And your quarterback needs to be able to do that. And if Kyler Murray can do that, if that's the thing where Kyler Murray is like, if that's what's going on, then they need to find that dynamic. Because right now it's going to be Cliff gets fired. But like that was a fun game. That was a heck of a game. Cardinals defense still isn't great, but they looked like a more competent playoff team that they were last year. So maybe now they'll put some games together and go on a run on the opposite end of the season compared to what they did last year. Because last year they started out hot and then fell apart. Maybe they're kind of like struggling early and now they're going to go on a hot run and we'll see what happens. But I mean, like that
defense is starting to mesh really well.
Right. Vance Joseph starting to put things together. And, Buda Baker's really, God, he's such a playmaker. Simmons is starting to make plays. And those pick sixes, man, that was big for them. That was what they needed. That gave the offense some juice. And the defense is playing with more confidence because they know we have Nuke back. We're more explosive on offense. So they just need to get the run game going. And even Benjamin did a good job. So.
Yeah, I just wanted to review that game a little bit because it showed the team Arizona can be. Mm-hmm. And the NFC West is not as deep as we thought it was. Same thing with AFC West. There's these teams that are struggling right now. The Rams, they played a beat-up, emotionally teared down Carolina team last week. I think they have a bye this week, so they kind of get a refresher. Hey, we'll go ahead and heal up, but I think they got a pretty tough game coming up after the bye, if I remember correctly. And I just don't trust Stafford's arm. We've discussed it.
We discussed this since week one. His arm doesn't look good, and the team's paying for it. They are struggling.
Yeah, no, big time. And then you look at Seattle making a run. They're one game behind the Rams right now?
Yeah.
San Francisco, 1 game behind the Rams.
And San Francisco right now, as far as I'm concerned, it's their division to lose. It's going to be. They're probably the best team in the West, and it's not even like close. And then I think the Cardinals are coming up on the second. Like Cardinals right now, I think are
if they catch fire, this can get competitive late. But right now, it just looked same thing with the South. Just a lot of average teams right now, and it hasn't gotten sorted out yet.
John, it still kind of happens now. It just it really depends, honestly, because a lot of times the coordinator will call it into their helmet, and then they'll just kind of like go from there. So the quarterback can say screw
coaching thing from the Shanahan tree is kind of overtaken stuff, so that's why you don't see it as much.
Right, yeah. So, but that's going to be it for us, guys. A lot of trade talk going on. I know a lot of information going on, but a lot of stuff. I'm going to be really curious to see how it goes. We probably won't see a whole lot of trades, but I think some teams will be buyers in this
trades
market.
Galore. Screw you, Brett.
We can see it. I'd love to see
trade galore. Trade galore.
100 trades at the deadline. You get a trade and you get a trade.
Oprah out here.
All right, that's it for us, guys. Until next week.
Make sure you hit like and subscribe.
Yes, please like and subscribe. That's it for us, guys. Until next week. Later.
See ya.